Michael, what are you drinking today?
Today I'm drinking a local roast from a company called Unleashed. We're drinking Mondo Nuovo, a medium roast. It's actually quite nice. It's got kind of a fruity flavor to it.
I'm afraid, drinking a half-empty cup of cold coffee that I made myself earlier this morning, and I haven't managed to finish yet.
Well, that's okay. Iced coffee is a coffee.
I know. It is what it is.
Tom, we have a bunch of topics on the agenda, but I think you've chosen one today to suit your particular state of mind.
We're talking about that thorny problem where you're collecting data from a household and you want to do household level ratings, but you don't have information from every device in the home. Now, this is not a problem if you're Nielsen and you're running a panel, because all of your panelists you require to connect their TVs to the people meter. Yeah. Historically, what people have done is they've calculated household viewing by basically looking at a household identifier. So you look at an Experian identifier to group together smart TVs, you look at the subscriber account to group together set-top boxes, you count the viewing in the home, and you say that that's the viewing of that home, and you use that for a household rating. The problem with that is it doesn't work when we don't have all the devices in the home. If you're a set-top box provider, it can be quite difficult. Certainly a lot of older set-top boxes don't collect data.
5-10 years ago, most of the TV viewing in a home occurred through a set-top box, a little bit of over-the-air. And now with the plethora of OTT, I think a lot of rooms in the house, a growing number of rooms in the house, are served either by a simple monitor and a set-top box like a Roku box, or it's going to be a smart TV being used to stream YouTube and whatever. It is true that there's more set-top boxes per home than there are smart TVs per home for any one brand, but everyone's kind of a little short at the end of the day.
That's absolutely right. I mean, and the biggest area where this is a problem is obviously smart TV data. Yeah. There are very few houses where every smart TV is connected. There are very few houses where every smart TV is of the same brand. And so when you see smart TV data, on average, you might see a little over 1 TVs per household, whereas nationally you want to be closer to 2, 2.5. What we're going to talk about today is how do you translate from device level data to household level data? Historically, the way everyone did it was they just used to multiply it by the number of devices per home. If you know you've got on average 1 TV per home, and you know that you should have 2.5, for every TV you see, you're going to miss another 1.5. So, for example, if you've got 10,000 TVs that have been watching a show or an ad, you can be pretty sure that there are another 15,000 TVs that you've missed. And so that's the basic heuristic that most people have used. And, it worked quite well, lasted quite a long time. Yeah. But, I got to the stage, I think about a year ago, where it started bugging me that this was just a random heuristic. So it was like, okay, let's try to see if we can get some science behind it. What we ended up doing was running a model where basically we wrote a computer program to simulate campaigns. So we came with a model where we've got 120 million homes in the country. Yeah, homes have got between 1 and 4 TVs. And what we did is we simulated what happened if we run campaign. And we saw how many TVs were exposed and how many homes were exposed. And simply what we wanted to do is work out what was the relationship between the number of TVs and the number of homes. And guess what? The first thing we found out is if all of the TVs in the country see the campaign, then every single home is exposed.
Remarkable.
Yeah, I know. We were really pleased with that. But that means you probably shouldn't multiply that number by 2.5. If you start saying 300 million homes were reached by my campaign, you might get some eyebrows raised in your marketing team. So, what we saw is that at the high end of reach, basically you don't need to provide a difference in the scaling factor between the devices in the household. It's just exactly the same. At the low end, you do. Yeah. And actually, there's a chart that we can show that you can see that basically as the number of homes you reach increases, so does the number of devices that you reach, but it's not a straight curve. And basically, there's a variable scaling factor that you need to apply when you're going to look to translate between your percentage reach or your percentage rating on a device level to household level. Yeah. Now, luckily, this is a quite predictable one. It's an exponential decay factor that you just need to apply. And when you apply that, you get it just works. The math sorts it out for you.
What you're saying is there empirical evidence that suggests that that K factor you're applying actually maps correctly to device exposure in the home? I mean, how do you verify the approach or validate the approach?
There's been a number of customers where we validated this data. We've taken device level data from set-top boxes and smart TVs. We've used this model to come up with reach factors and rating factors. We validated that against other well-known sources of data on the behalf of our customers, and we've seen a reasonable match.
So the question gets asked by different people with different needs in mind, I think, right? So some people want to know that the viewing you're capturing on your smart TV footprint, let's say, is representative of total viewing, and hence they want that interest group wants to make sure that we correctly model for other viewing in that home, right?
Yeah.
So that when we produce a final reach and frequency analysis or a rating or whatever it is, that we have taken the base of 1.1 smart TVs and we've extrapolated to what we thought is likely to have happened on the other TVs in those homes. So the total viewing of the household is fully represented, right? There's a correct quantification of total viewing. That's one goal, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's mainly what you're talking about, which is you're saying, hey, if I have a campaign that's got deep reach, it's pretty certain that my model to the rest of the home, TVs in the home, is pretty easy. Like if it's got deep reach, it probably reached all the other TVs. That's sort of the rationale.
Yeah.
If it's got shallow reach, I have to be a little more careful because I can't be certain that it reached the other TVs in the home. So the brute force nature of the campaign doesn't make the math as easy.
I mean, obviously you need to make sure your data is representative, as we've spoken about previously, but you also have to make sure you're representative in the home.
Yeah, I'm just saying that there's one aspect of the question is household device viewing as a contribution or as a part of the representativeness model, right? That's the main focus. And by the way, I think one of the reasons that sort of works is we assume a fairly random distribution of TVs by room in the home. So there's a primary,
absolutely right.
Right. So there's a primary viewing location, which might be household number one, but then there's a TV in a kid's bedroom in household 2, and there's a TV in the kitchen in household 3, and there's a TV in the master bedroom in household 4, right?
That's absolutely right. And I worry about all data because I think there's definitely people tend to put their newer TVs and set-top boxes in the living room.
Right.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. I have a suspicion that we're generally under-indexing on kitchens.
Right. So this is interesting. This to me is the interesting next step in all of this. But so I think in terms of coming up with a we always talk about representativeness not so much as perfect, but as better than not having this tool, right?
Yeah.
So with the tool, you have a much improved understanding or much improved quantification of consumption across all devices. So Tom, terrific stuff. Really interesting to see how we've tackled that problem. I think once again, we're showing how data science techniques can be used to address some pretty interesting challenges out there in media modeling. That was terrific. Really appreciate the overview. Hey, what's next? What's the next episode going to be about?
I think the next episode is going to be all around my favorite topic, which is game theory.
Oh, Shapley values.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll do that later.
All right, Tom. Wonderful. Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.